All right, and then there were those interesting numbers that we brought up of 13 times that Dhoni has batted in the third or the fourth innings trying to save a test match for India, and he has an average of just 20. And that's not good enough. And this is what, when we're talking of Dhoni as a captain, Dada.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not good enough, to be honest. And if you look at his record in the last 12 test matches, as captain overseas in Australia, England, now in South Africa, it's not been very, very good. And I completely agree with Boria that he doesn't fight hard enough in overseas conditions when the ball's doing a bit, when the team wants him. He doesn't grind enough. And I go back to the knock Boria spoke about in Chennai. You know, what a knock he played on that surface against Australia. India would have actually been looking down the barrel on that test match if he wouldn't have batted that way, and especially with the tail. But as I said, when he comes to overseas conditions with the ball, with the pace, with the swing, with the seam, he doesn't back himself enough, and I think that's the problem he has.
But is it a confidence issue, Dada, or is it something else?
Yes, it is a confidence issue. Yes, it's definitely a confidence issue because nobody wants to fail, especially when you're captain of a team, and especially with someone like Dhoni who's got tremendous self-respect. You really don't want to fail. But it's also a technique issue, Siddharth. Every time the ball's pitched up and swinging away from Dhoni, it's the same sort of dismissal we've seen so many number of times. Slip cordon, getting into the slips, playing away from the body and playing into the slip cordon, because batting overseas needs to be a lot tighter. You get away with a lot of things in India with the bat away from the body, the bounce not being there, the swing, seam movement not being there, you get away. But moment the conditions become in England, Australia and South Africa, you have to get closer to the body. Look how Ajinkya Rahane played, you look how Virat Kohli batted, you look how Cheteshwar Pujara batted, everything close to the body. And it's not only just a confidence issue, it's a technique issue as well.
And Boria, what this entire test match, what Durban's done is once again bring to mind that entire episode where Jimmy Amarnath came out and spoke of how the selection committee had been stopped from actually making a decision on Dhoni. And you have to kind of question whether Dhoni as a test skipper is motivated enough to actually give his all in this format.
You know, I've said this 150 times. It's baffling that how a man of such potential doesn't perform overseas. How long will you continue with that is a question the selectors will have to ask. Because look, two test matches in New Zealand, 5 in England and 4 in Australia. You're actually talking about close to 12 test matches in 2014 overseas. And believe you me, Michael Clarke will sort of spare no pains to inflict any number of wounds on you after the 4-0 drubbing they got. England, we know what happened last year. Does Dhoni inspire confidence? Once 5 wickets are down, do you actually believe that Dhoni downward, the Indian tail, can put on what the South Africans did? South Africa 280 for 5 and they end up 500. And we sort of 150 for 5 and we'll end up 200 all out. That is becoming a story. Now, how do you rectify that? What does the selection committee do? Will they talk to the skipper? This is a young side where the skipper has to take additional responsibility. These are important questions, and the New Zealand series is just round the corner. Problem is, you know what? Once again, we will give him some easy matches, the IPL at home, some easy tournaments like the T20 World Cup in Bangladesh, where the pitches will be conducive for Dhoni, and these failures will sort of be swept under the cover. That cannot happen in 2014 because we are playing overseas.